This is video 4 in my series on market change. Last video, I talked a lot more about InfoSparks and used that in a lot of my examples in discussing trend validation and benchmarking and everything I've been talking about up to this point. I mentioned at the end of that video that there is other ways to deal with your market change that don't involve InfoSparks. Not everybody has it. Even if you do, that may not be the method that you really want to use, or it may not be the best choice of method for your specific situation. So I want to show you what it looks like to go straight to your MLS and be able to do a lot more in terms of filtering and modeling. So you hear me use the word modeling. So what does that mean? It's You want to think of it like adjusting, but the reason I don't say adjust because in adjustments you're taking a comparable property, you're adjusting it for a difference to make it equivalent to the subject property, and the magnitude of that adjustment needs to be consistent with whatever that feature is, ideally. And in modeling, we're taking a little bit different perspective. We're wanting to use a technique of modeling in order to take all of our data and isolate time as a variable. And how we do that is we're going to use adjustment factors, but they're not going to be the same adjustment factors typically that you see in a sales comparison approach. Usually the factors are higher in my experience, and it's because there's um, collinearities that are in a lot of these factors that correlate with other elements. And in modeling, it's okay to have those combined together because we're really seeking to have our data set as isolated as possible in terms of time. We can never do that perfectly, but that's the goal. So what you're looking at right now is my my custom Excel workbook. We're just looking at my second method of doing market change. So what I have done, I have dropped in a custom CSV export from the MLS. Those are very easy to make if you haven't done one before. Um, uh, there's a lot of reasons to do that. A lot of different types of analysis you can do when you grab a CSV export from your MLS. Makes it very easy to work with. So you can see in this scatter plot here, this is all the data that I have downloaded. It's being plotted as to per unit pricing. Now, what I want to do is I want to model for differences. I want to account for differences in things like square footage, the year built, the garage count, lot size, and bathrooms. And those things may correlate with other things that I'm not even having a factor for here, and that's okay. So I'm going to start entering in modeling factors, and you will see the data coalesce. So you saw I entered in gross living area. If I take that out again, you'll see the data really spreads out. So that's what modeling does for us. We're isolating that as a variable. So I'm going to put in modeling factors for all the other elements real quick, and you can see now my data is really narrowed down. It looks like it's not as narrow as it was, and that's because the chart changed the y-axis. It's actually narrowed down so much that it didn't need as broad of a y-axis. So that's super helpful. Now we can do something else. We can actually take this and we can smooth it out. So I've got a smoothing factor here, and now you can see the blue dots are our adjusted or modeled pricing, and now the red dots are all those exponentially smooth. That's a method of smoothing which works really well in this application and helps you to really see the trend a little bit better. The yellow line that you can see in there, that's just a linear trend line through the whole thing, and that I have that in there. It helps visually for you to track. um, if the market's going up or down. Now, we don't need just to do everything visually. We really want to have calculations. And so this chart's very similar to the one that I showed you before, and it gives us a chart of aggregated price change by month and gives us all the information we need to draw a conclusion. Now, this is not going to tell you the adjustment. I mean, there are indicated adjustment rates there. Those aren't necessarily the ones you want to use. You, as the appraiser, always want to have all the information so that you can draw a reasonable conclusion. No matter what we do, no matter how well we filter, no matter how well we model, no matter how well we smooth, there's always going to be other elements that are going to be explanatory for that price change at any given moment. What we want to do is to be able to see when the market shifted, see those changes happen, and then get a sense as to what that magnitude is. But there's always going to be variation from month to month that is not related to time. It's going to be related most often to data composition. So there are different types of properties that sold from one month to the next, and maybe they had different features. Maybe they were in one month generally a little bit better condition than the next month. Those are all factors we can try to deal with, but we're never going to be able to deal with them all perfectly. That's why anything that tells you the adjustment, you don't want to rely on that. You always have to take a step back. You need the data that helps you to make a good choice. Don't just apply, throw data into something, have it tell you an adjustment factor and apply that. That is recipe for disaster. So that there's never going to be a way just to hit the easy button on market conditions. It's actually one of the more complicated pieces of the appraisal process because there are so many things going on, and we're really having to step into more of an economist role and really look at how the elements of supply and demand have changed and how market participants as a whole during time segments have behaved differently. And that requires a lot of judgment. It requires a lot of information, a lot of data. You can't do this just with a 10 sales. Or you can't do it with 20 sales generally. That's just not enough to really help you to see what's going on in a market over time. So again, when we're talking about time change, we're not always looking at purely comps. We're really trying to tackle a problem that is outside of our specific comp data set. So because that's just not the way markets work. And so I wanted to show you this, just give you a little snapshot into it, talk a little bit about those factors, and sort of maybe throw a little bit of a cautionary tale up there. I know there's a lot of products coming out right now, and I'm not trying to dog anybody's product. I just want you as the user to be aware of things that you've got to consider, because it's not the product manufacturer that's signing your appraisal report. You as the appraiser are signing the appraisal report, and you're responsible for what's in it. And so I felt like I really needed to throw up a little caution flag on just anything that's telling you, okay, here's the adjustment, apply it, move along. Pause on that. You really need to think a little bit before putting those adjustments in your report. Thanks for watching, and I'll put out another video. I'm not quite done yet on this topic. If there's questions or things that you want me to address in my next video, let me know.